All right, so we'll move on to our 6.9. Consideration of A, update on Golden Mussel Prevention Programming. B, approval of funding request to support fiscal year 24-25 Golden Mussel Prevention activities for Lake County in the amount of $25,000. Dr. Upadhyay and Angela DePalma-Dow.
Yeah. Oh. It says it's... Should I do that one? And then... La-da-da. Okay. Can you guys hear me and can you see the screen okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you for having me this afternoon, board. My name is Angela DePalma-Dow. I'm from Lake County Water Resources, the Invasive Species Program Coordinator. And I wanted to provide an update to the board today on the golden mussel and provide some next steps and some additional information and provide opportunity for the board and the public to ask any questions or discussions on this update. And I'm going to start off the presentation like I do for all of my presentations, is thanking the ramp monitors. This is a great group of folks. They're out there right now. They're out there in the cold, the wind, the rain, the hot sun, the fog, and they are sometimes the first contact and the last contact that visiting boaters have with county personnel. So this program only works because they do, and they work really hard, and they are the reason why we don't have mussels and other invasives in Clear Lake. So big shout out to all of them. Brief outline for today. I'm not going to give a detailed background about golden mussels. I did that in December, and that presentation is available on our website. If you go to Water Resources on the County of Lake website, and then you go to Invasive Mussel Program, and then we have a website here, the Golden Mussel information. And there's the link for the presentation I provided in December. And also this presentation I'm presenting today is also on our website right underneath it. So all this information is transparent and available for the public and partners. The only background I'll provide is the difference between golden mussels and quagga zebra mussels. So far in Lake County in California, we've had prevention or containment programs, containment in Southern California and prevention in Northern California, Central California for quagga zebra mussels. Those are pictured on the left of the screen. You can see why they have that name, zebra mussels. And the golden mussels are on the right. So they are named so because they have kind of an iridescent shine. They look similar in shape and size. However, their coloring is a little different. These species, or these are completely different genera. So dracinid mussels are sometimes referred to for quagga zebra mussels, and then golden mussels are in the genus Limnoperma. And the reason why this is important is because everything we know about the way that dracinid mussels act and behave is not necessarily so for Limnosperma. So there's a large learning curve here in California, United States for these species. In December, I presented to the board the current distribution of golden mussels based on monitoring from the state, both from California Department of Fish and Wildlife and also the California Department of Water Resources. And you can see here, this is what the map looked like in December. They were first discovered in October, but there had been more detections every week. And then California Department of Fish and Wildlife determined that golden mussels have probably been here for more than a year. They found some that were a certain size, and this indicates they've probably been there for a while and just were not detected. For our purposes here at Clear Lake, for our prevention program, we consider the entire delta area infested. Because these mussels can withstand a little bit higher salinities, it means that they can be in lots of places within the delta, even if there's saltwater intrusion. And a reminder that the closest point in the delta is about 150 miles from Clear Lake, roughly, so it's close to home. This is the current distribution map that's on the Fish and Wildlife Golden Mussel webpage. So the map on the left is the map I just showed you from December. And here is the current findings actually from a couple days ago, or the current map is on the right. And you can see how there's higher collection within the Delta area, but there's also some movement detections of these mussels down through the State Water Project south of the Delta. And I think Supervisor Tues, you brought this up at the meeting in December. You said, what about the State Water Project? All that water flowing down south, they're probably going to go in there. And yeah, you are right, they are. Here's a closer up image of the Delta. And in yellow are some of the newer detections. So this is, again, from a couple days ago, but really the ones on the top, you know, it looks like they were headed south, you know, kind of with the downstream movement, but we are seeing some upward like northern movement of, or detections at least of golden mussel. So they could be slowly creeping up into other parts of the delta, which are closer to Clear Lake, and there's a lot of boat traffic between those areas, Clear Lake and our neighboring water bodies. So just an update on the distribution there. So when we screen and inspect boats that come into our county, we have a form where they put down where they're registered. And so this map shows all the boats that are registered over the last couple years. And I just put a circle around where boats are registered, and the delta is somewhere in the middle of there that overlaps a lot of those areas where the golden mussel has been detected. So boats that are coming to Clear Lake are from where all these dots are indicated. So you can see there's a very high concentration of boats that live year-round around the delta, and then they come to Clear Lake, or have in the past few years. So how have we responded to this with all the information that we've learned since they've been discovered? We've tried to strengthen our now known as the QZGM prevention program, so quagga mussel, zebra mussel, golden mussel prevention program. We're continuing hot water decontaminations. Golden mussels, like quagga mussels, zebra mussels, are sensitive to 140, 120 degree hot water. So all of our decons, we don't really use chemicals, we use hot water. And we have seen an increase in these decons because we get those boats visiting from the delta. So normally in a year, we might do maybe 20 decontaminations. We've probably already surpassed that according to our ramp monitors, because we're addressing those boats that are visiting from the delta. What this means is that we've also had to increase our ramp monitor presence on the ramps, because we need to account for those boats that are coming from the delta, and we need that staff there on those public ramps to ask them questions, do an inspection, and maybe perhaps do decons. What this means is all our ramp monitors are part-time staff, and usually they work a season from like March to November with limited hours in the wintertime. That is no longer the case. These are full year-round staff, and they're probably going to run out of hours in May, if not earlier, because we've had to increase the amount of time they've been out on the ramps in order to account for doing inspections and screenings of these boats that come from the delta. So these are all part-time staff that are ramp monitors. They have 900 hours a year, and we're going to run out of those times, and we're not going to have staff available. We do have mussel dogs that are out and at the ramps during popular times, mostly pre-fishing for fishing tournaments. Here's a little video of a dog doing a inspection. They can detect adult golden mussels. They are certified to the state to do that. And so far this year, we've added 12 more days in 2025 compared to previous years. So usually we start mussel dogs in the end of March, but we've already had 12 days of mussel dogs prior to this time period. And they're pretty expensive. They're like $800, $1,000 a day, because you have the canine, which is considered a worker, and you have their handler, which is also considered a worker. So you're looking at a pretty expensive, but very much needed a tool that we've been using, that we've seen an increase in this year.
Canine's doing all the work.
Yeah, but if someone wasn't there, the dog would just run around and play, okay? We love them. They are great to work with. They're very flexible. Their staff is knowledgeable, and they're also an outreach education tool. So you get multiple benefits with these canine mussel sniffing dog teams. We have been collaborating, communicating our needs and our concerns with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. So they are the agency that issues fishing tournaments. Contrary to popular belief, we really don't have a say in fishing tournaments that come here to Clear Lake. We can ask them things, we can inform them of other events, but it's up to the state to decide what they permit and what they don't for fishing tournaments events in Clear Lake. We did mention that, when you have multiple fishing tournament events, it's hard for us to do those inspections, screenings, and decons with our limited staff. So they have actually reduced the number of permitted fishing events from 3 to 2 per day. So starting in January, anybody that applied for a fishing permit, if there was already 2 events that day, they wouldn't get accepted that permit, and they'd have to choose a different day. So what this does is this eases the inspection decontamination burden on our staff. So we have enough staff to go around. What this also means is that sometimes fishing tournaments now are moved to other days. So it doesn't mean we can lessen the amount of staff that are present out there on the ramps. No, it just means they're spread out, as opposed to all, on a couple days a week. We're kind of spreading them out throughout the week and the weekend. Because of this, also, there's been rescheduling and lots of tournament cancellations for different parts of the year. So Are there economic impacts to this? We have not done a study on this yet. We don't know. But if your business is used to seeing 3 events every weekend between February and June, and now you're only seeing 2 events, if you're a local business that depends on those bait and tackle dollars and those fishing traffic dollars, you might be already seeing some impacts from Golden Mussel by seeing less income throughout the fishing season. But I don't know yet. That hasn't been completely looked at, but that's something that could be potentially happening. We are still doing early detection monitoring. We partner with Fish and Wildlife, the Bodega Bay Marine Laboratory. So our staff every month, multiple times, goes out and looks at substrates, whether that's exposed shoreline, buoy lines. We're going to be looking at all the buoy lines, the chains to see if anything's settled on there, and then in-lake infrastructure like docks and then shorelines. And then we also have these artificial substrates that we submerge, that we have them at points that we go out and we clean and we monitor. And this is all protocols that we have to follow by law by Fish and Wildlife since we're a public access lake. We also do tow sampling, and this is showing a picture of the zebra mussel juveniles, which are called villagers. But the Bodega Marine Laboratory has protocols where they can look for golden mussel villagers under a microscope with infrared microscope technologies, and we send samples to them. The state is really going to have us monitor probably more often going forward. And anytime you monitor, it takes a staff a day to go out there, maybe 2 if they're going out to other water bodies. So it's a time-consuming but very needed process. So with all this information, I have a couple asks today for the board and some next steps so you can be familiar with the next steps for this process for preparing and preventing golden mussels. And then this is just an image of our ramp monitors. This is like 4 a.m. in the morning, right? We have fishermen that come here. So these ramp monitors get up really early. They're out there in the dark monitoring these boats. We are asking for some program support funds. So we're requesting $25,000 in general funds for the remainder of the 2024-2025 fiscal year. The majority of this is to make sure we have enough funds to support mussel dogs and, if needed, inspection staff augmentation. So whether that's hiring more staff, having more funds available for extra help staff, or for contracting for trained staff. And I'll talk about that in a different slide. This is in addition to the $20,000 that was provided to us by District 1 discretionary funds in December. Thanks to Supervisor Simon for providing this for us. We've been using it already for some of those mussel dog teams that we needed earlier in the year, as well as some outreach needs. And these funds will also help us. We have some state funds from 2023, and we have the last little dredges of a 2021 federal grant that we're using. And so this $25,000 will help us kind of complete with those grants until we can get some other funding in place. And this will help maintain our prevention program, keep the lake safe through the rest of the year. That's the main goal of these funds. In the memo, we identified that there's also a need for funds to total up to $270,000 for general tasks under this project. For the remainder of this year, we're only, again, requesting $25,000. So this is the way that it's kind of estimated to be broken up, even though it can kind of be a little flexible, but this is kind of just our estimation based on what we have left in our current grants and what we see is needed, particularly as we're going through a busy beginning of the spring, summer. The funds that are going to be requested in the future for 2025, 2026 and beyond mostly would be used for, again, supporting staff augmentation, providing more ramp monitoring staff, more internal department staff support, more technician coordinator staff, and then also to come up with a permanent decontamination machine concept and engineering design. I've had several conversations with public services, with Lars. There's that new park, the John Claus Park that's over there at the roundabout at Highway 20. When you first come in the county, that would be a beautiful place to have a permanent decontamination station. There's a lot of space there. Boats can come in, they can drive in, they can get their boat screened, decontaminated, and be on their way with their sticker, and they can go throughout the whole county. It's a gateway to the county, to the water resources here. It can be designed in a way that can be water efficient for conservation and also be pretty easy to use. And so that's what those funds are there to start that planning process for that. And that item was included in our response plan. if we ever do get mussels, whether they're quagga mussels or golden mussels, we're going to have to tell the state how we're containing the mussels here in Clear Lake, and having a permanent decon station there would help us stay open and still allow people to recreate in Clear Lake, but also protect boats that are leaving the county. So it's like we can use it now, we can use it going into the future. Another reason why we're asking for these funds, both for the end of the year funds and then for funds in the future, is because the state has, at least currently with their invasive mussel program, are not going to fund golden mussels. So this is exactly a flyer that we got an email from our grant admins at the state, and it literally says, the QZ grant program cannot fund activities that discuss the golden mussel for the 2025 grant cycle. Applications with discuss the golden mussel may be disqualified during the interagency review process. So we literally can't even mention that we're protecting our lake from golden mussel to the grant to the state to protect against invasive mussels. So that means that at least we have 2 years of funding from the state that can't be used for golden mussel activities. So that's why we're asking the board to provide funds to be able to provide what we need that can't be met by the state for golden mussel prevention. There are Prop 4 funds available, so we're looking at alternatives. We're not just relying on general funds for this project. In December, I did present to the Blue Ribbon Committee in the city of Clear Lake about golden mussels. They are very concerned, and they are very committed to be able to fund golden mussel project, especially something like building and constructing a permanent decontamination station. That might be a dip tank. Like here, you have a photo where boats just back up. There's hot water, think of like a hot tub for your boat. It's either hot water or there's a chemical in there that's approved by the state where the boat can go in and turn the engine on, and all of that gets deconned really quickly. And then the boat goes on its merry way, gets its sticker. So the construction, the planning design that the board could support would be the first phase, and the second phase could be construction. And so the Blue Room Committee is open and very interested in supporting that, at least when I presented to them in December. The other thing is we could boost our mobile decon fleet. We have 2 decons already that work. We could have more of those. They're not ideal though, because they use a lot more water than a permanent decon station. And yeah, I am getting ahead of myself right now, but I want to give you guys some hope for the future. There's stuff that can be done, that's been done in other places, that would be great tools for prevention and containment, and really secure a future of Clear Lake, even as we're preventing mussels, or if we do get mussels going in the future. Something else that is needed is an update to the ordinance. So chapter 1552 ordinance specifically listed out dracinid or quagga zebra mussels and excluded other freshwater invasive mussels. So I worked with county council. Thank you to Nicole and Lloyd for working with me on this. And we went through, we updated the ordinance, and it will be going on notice this Saturday. Thanks, Joanna, for helping me do that. So it should be ready for board to review and approve at the earliest April 8th. So that is something that is also being updated that would help protect our legal authorities to be able to screen, inspect, and decon vessels that do contain golden mussels. Right now, the ordinance doesn't outline that we can actually legally contain a vessel and quarantine it if it has golden mussels on it. It only lists quagga zebra mussels. The other thing that needs to be done is updating plans specific to quagga zebra mussels. So as you may know, I'm leaving in a couple days, and there's going to be a new invasive species coordinator replacing me. Updating the prevention plan is a great activity for this replacement to do when they first come in here. I did that in 2019. I got started in 2018. 2019, I updated the plan working with Fish and Wildlife and partners, and it's a great way to really get involved and familiar with the program. And so I really encourage my replacement to jump into this feet first and make an updated plan. And the state will require us to have an updated plan either this year or next year. So it's a perfect timing. We also had a preparedness and resilience, basically a containment and response plan that we developed with a federal grant, and I presented that to the board, I believe, last July. And our contractor that helped us develop that has already given us some changes needed to incorporate golden mussels into this plan, because it was written before for quagga mussels and zebra mussels. So this outlines what to do if we do find a mussel in our lake. And so this is really important to protect us, so we don't get shut down. If we do find mussels, the state doesn't shut us down. Staff augmentation. So some of what I mentioned earlier about the funds we're asking for today, the 25,000, would go to help support some staff for the rest of the year. The 245,000 that we might come back and ask for the next year would help provide more staff augmentation. So the company we go with now, Muscle Dogs, they don't only just provide dog sniffing teams, but they actually have dedicated staff like our ramp monitors at other water bodies. So these are staff that are trained. They use the digital inspection systems like we do. They talk to boaters. They're very similar to ramp monitors, but they could help out if we need additional staff on ramps or during busy seasons. And so currently they have staff that work at Lake Sonoma, Lake Mendocino. So if there was a need for us to have more staff available for ramp monitoring or inspections, this would be a way to do that. This company, Muscle Dogs, also does training and outreach at events too. So part of prevention is getting the word out about what people need to be aware of, and that would be included in outreach. And then they're also trained in the Western Inspection Database. So if a boat comes up to a ramp, a ramp monitor might not come up and talk to you. What they might be doing is typing in your CF number, and they know where your boat's been. And if your boat's been in Clear Lake the last 5 days, then your boat's safe to go. If the boat comes up and it was in Lake Mead, a couple weeks ago, they might walk up and start talking to you, asking about your boat. And so that's all this in this digital tracking system. And this is going to be really helpful as it's used more and more around the Delta area. So what can the public do? Get screened, sticker up, make sure you guys are keeping your eyes out on the boats. If every boat needs to have a sticker, they look like this. They're on either side of the bow and on the trailer. Make sure people are familiar with the risk of golden mussels. Some people think that the mussels are going to clear up the water and they're going to eat all the algae in the lake and it's going to be crystal clear. That's not true. They'll eat the green algae, which is the fish food, and they'll actually release the cyanobacteria. So we'll get more cyanobacteria and less fish food, and we'll see a collapse of our fishery. And we know that from other water bodies in the country. So, and this is the same for golden mussels. And just making sure that signs are followed. We have updated our signs around the county to these nice brand new banners and billboards, and making sure that vessels are clean, drain, dry all the time, every time. It's something easy. We can always, if we see a boater like, oh, did you clean, drain, dry? Thanks for participating in our sticker program. We really value your support. And then, of course, if somebody thinks they see a mussel or anything really at all, call the Department of Water Resources, so 263-2344. You could also send the image over Facebook or email it to water.resources. And then if there's any questions, here is the general water resource contact. I didn't put my contact there because I will not be there after Friday. But we have a great website at www.nomussels.com, and we really encourage everybody to explore that. And this presentation is available on that website. And with that, I can take any questions. Addressing, this is the first item, even though I did overlap and talk about the second item today in this presentation.
I don't know who was first.
I think I was.
Yeah, you were.
You said that there's a good chance we're going to run out of hours by May with the current ramp monitors. Are we in the process of hiring more extra help staff so that we could have people that still have hours left once that happens, or?
We have a couple interviews. We have a couple folks, but we don't have money. We're at the capacity. So.
Okay. So we're, in addition to being out of hours, we're also out of money
Yeah.
at that time, if that happens.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I talk about staff augmentation, I'm sorry if it wasn't that clear, because it's not a super simple concept, but having a company that can provide staff augmentation on hand in contract allows you to fill in some of those gaps where you run out of hours without having to secure a full part-time staff. So for us to go out and hire and advertise and hire a 900-hour ramp monitor, we have to have those funds in our budget line, and we don't have those. And we're full. But if we can do a contract with a company that can provide staff augmentation, come May or June, we're run out of hours, we can have some staff fill in, especially during those busy times, like Memorial Weekend. We have a lot of boat traffic. So,
Well, that's good, is just making sure that we have something in place.
if the funds are approved today, then yes.
Yeah, okay.
Wink.
Thank you. Yeah, answered my question.
Supervisor Pyska.
Well, my question was going to be about the grants and if the golden mussels were still precluded from the grants, but you answered that question, and it sounds like we have 2 years to hang on by ourselves, right? And fund this locally until things possibly change?
That is correct. And also, I'm trying to finish applying for the grant before I leave. So I'm trying to do that, so you guys aren't unstuck without having that. The state has said that they are developing a boat access grant that would allow there to be a pathway for funds for golden mussel or for general, lake activities like invasive mussel and other invasive species prevention programs. They haven't given us any indicator of when that will be, but it seemed like it's going to align with Prop 4 funds that are coming out.
Okay.
And I know on the timeline for Prop 4, as early as July, those funds can be allocated to departments and agencies at the state, and then they develop their guidelines. So I would suggest, going to the Blue Ribbon Committee
Right.
and asking for as much as you possibly can fathom, because they're going to have a lot of money over the next year that they want to spend out, and they want to spend on this program, and this program can have both. It's implementation, it's boots on the ground, it's staff. And you can also work with CNRA to get an advance, so then we have money in our pocket, so we can tell admin, hey, look, here's some line items of funds we can have, and hire some more staff.
Okay, yeah, that was my question about how to activate Blue Ribbon, so you got that? Okay.
Yeah.
Brad's on it.
Yeah. Okay, good. But there's still this period of time that we're on our own, where we have to deal with this immediately, where we need to find some funding for these projects immediately right now. Just making sure that's really clear, because we don't have the option for the state grants for a while, and going through Blue Ribbon and Prop 4 is going to take a while. Okay. And then I see we have Stephen here, so we'll talk with him in a minute. Or Casey, I mean. Then the other question is public outreach, and I know I've had discussions with this in my town halls, and I'm wondering if maybe the next person that fills these giant shoes of Angela's will be able to, or some staff, make the rounds to the municipal advisory councils, so that we're really educating the people that live here too, and hitting that as hard as we can, as well as providing some funds.
I think that's a great idea. I've tried to do that in my tenure here. I've gone out and spoken to most of the municipal groups, and I think that's a perfect thing for someone to do. It's literally in the job description to do outreach, communicate invasive species topics to the public. So that's a reasonable expectation. Yeah. And I can help. I'm still going to be in the county. Anybody can call me. I care about the lake. I care about its protection. I'm not leaving. So if someone needs help or guidance, or they can always ask me, and any of you can too.
I'm not sure if that'll stay on topic in one of my town halls.
Yeah.
But Supervisor Sabatier.
Thank you for bringing this. Definitely concerned, whether it's the quagga zebra mussel or the golden mussel. I want to talk about the ramp monitors. I think that the program itself, for what it does, has been working very, very well. But what it doesn't work with is the many leaks that we have coming into the lake outside of the public areas that we're able to control. So I think they do a great job there, because they only see what they see. But I know from talking with the anglers that come from competitions, they love renting Airbnbs right on the lake, and they deploy right there on the lake. And I would say most competitive anglers are going to do the right thing for the lakes that they go to. But we have a lot of other outside opportunities for mussels to get into the lake. And so in a way, on one end, I think our ramp monitors have been doing a fantastic job at the ramps. But on the other end, I think we've also gotten slightly lucky that we haven't gotten anything due to the other access points that exist that we cannot possibly cover. I really love the decontamination idea, and I'd love to know what the cost is for just one, because if we were able, kind of like a weight station for big rig trucks, to make sure everybody gets decontaminated on the way in, that would reduce the potential of us getting lucky. And so I'm not saying that would be a one-time fee, but what would the cost be to build it, and what would the cost be to maintain and manage those things? I'm very interested in knowing what that bottom dollar sign would look like. On the other side, I saw the new banners that you've put up on those trailers for the basically get your sticker. says, or pay up to $1,000. There was a grand jury report that was done not too long ago about the sticker program. And what I did not see was a lot of fines or penalties. How do we make that more robust so when we do catch somebody who's coming in without a sticker, there's a hit, there's an impact, there's there's teeth to what we're doing. Education is key, obviously, for first and foremost, but I feel that we need to find a way to be more robust in our enforcement of the law, because I did not see that in the financial report that goes along with the sticker program. Again, I think that we're doing a fantastic job with tools that we have and what mission has been requested of the ramp monitors to do. But I think that we need, especially in light of all this new information coming from the Delta, how do we make our program that much more robust? And I'd love to understand what would it take in order to get there. So I'm okay with the $25,000 today that's being requested. I think that we need to continue to monitor and make sure that it's safe. Before the larger number that's being requested for 25, 26, I would like to see what other options there are, because that could be a lot of money we spend with still all of these leaks of people coming to the lake and recreating in ways that we can't control.
Yeah, I was just going to comment when Supervisor Pyska brought it up that, yeah, we'll definitely stay on top of with what's going on at the Blue Ribbon, because there is that 20 million that's dedicated specifically for Clear Lake. I don't know when that's going to start getting released, but hopefully pretty soon.
We can probably contract as soon as July, August for some of the approved projects. And then if the request goes in soon, I don't think it can be included in that batch, but it might be included for the following year. But I'm not sure. This year's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But now is the time to ask for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so I'll open it up to the public if there's any questions on this. Stephen, I see you here, but if you don't have anything, then we're good. Sorry about that. I'll open it up to the public. All right. Anyone on Zoom? All right, I'll bring it back to the board. I know that you mentioned that you overlapped, and I want to look at Lloyd to make sure we can go on with action, even though, because I know there's A and B. She did the presentation, and she also brought up B, the funding situation, so we can move forward, right? All right, so just looking for action.
Yeah, I don't believe A needed action, but I'll make a motion to approve a funding request to support fiscal year 24-25 Golden Mussel Prevention activities for Lake County in the amount not to exceed $25,000.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 400. Thank you very much.
Thank you, board.
And Angela, I know that you said Friday was your last day, right?
That is correct.
Well, thank you for everything. I wanted to also, just let you know that I just realized when you said that you wouldn't be at the next meeting. So, we wish you well on your future endeavors, and thank you for everything you do for the lake, and thank you for, all the years that I've been on, the work you put in. So,
Well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
all right.